Do you want an amazing marriage? Are you ready to take your marriage to the next level? Then stick around for Your Marriage Matters podcast with marriage coach Lynn. Let's put some fun and sizzle into your relationship.
Hi everybody. Today's topic is recovering from the shock of infidelity, endurance, patience, and rebuilding trust. Infidelity can destroy a marriage. It's estimated that a high percentage of couples will encounter infidelity. Some claim that only 35% of marriages will survive infidelity, but I've seen consistent reports that say 70% of couples stay together. Here's the thing. If an affair takes place once with one partner, there is a 60% chance of it happening again. So, at what point in time are we talking the divorces happen? All we know is that when it happens to you, your world is blown to smithereens. And let me clarify some statistics. We can't really clarify. There are sources that say up to 70% of marriages will have one partner at some point in the entire marriage who strays outside the marriage, even if for one night. However, there are a lot who don't admit it and keep it a secret. In other words, it might be reported in surveys, but is not revealed to the other partner. What we do know is that a reported 20% of couples will have the affair become known to each other and have to grapple with the aftermath. Of that number, there are estimates as to how many relationships will survive. I'd like to think that 70% stay together, and that's encouraging. Betrayal is a serious issue that might warrant professional intervention. Today, we will focus on what to do once the affair has taken place. What can we do to heal and rebuild once the affair is discovered? When we refer to affair, we're talking about a recurring sexual and emotional relationship outside of marriage. The duration could be a few weeks, months, or a year or more. One of the most painful experiences in marriage is to discover and then have to face the shock of infidelity. The first stages of the recovery matter. How was it discovered? Did the cheater get caught in a lie? Did the cheater come to the spouse and admit his or her wrongdoing? If the lie was discovered, you will have to face the fact that the cheater didn't want to be caught and wasn't ready to give up his or her wrongdoing. It's wrong to have an affair. In American culture, most people get married and the vows include monogamy. Now that the affair is out in the open, does the cheater want to give up his or her partner? That's an important question. The affair partner was providing something for the spouse that gives him or her pleasure, comfort, or satisfaction. The spouse was willing to go to great lengths and keep the affair a secret. He or she took tremendous risks by continuing an affair. And many people, when caught and didn't intend to reveal or give up the affair partner, don't really want to give up the partner. This is what the spouse victim knows deep down. By the way, a high percentage of affairs happen on business trips away from home. Many affairs start off online. We have so many secretive ways of doing things with technology. What did people do before texting and emailing? They had affairs with a coworker, in-law, best friend, or someone in close proximity where it was easier to communicate and set a rendezvous up face-to-face or on the phone. The first hard question to ask is, did the spouse want to get caught? Did the spouse intend to get caught? Did the spouse intend to tell what he or she was up to? Another crucial question to find out is, upon discovery of the affair, is, does the person have remorse? If the person doesn't have remorse, doesn't want to give up the affair partner, or doesn't care about his or her marriage, then you need to get professional counseling and treatment right away. This is the most difficult of situations. It's easier to deal with someone who admits they were wrong and are willing to do whatever it takes to repair and rebuild the marriage. Let's shift the discussion to the proactive things we can do when the guilty spouse wants to repair. If the spouse has remorse and wants to work on the marriage, In the middle of your hurt and healing, you'll have to create a safe environment for your spouse. The first inclination is to make the spouse pay for his or her indiscretion by reminding him or her what a jerk they've been, that they did this and they did that to you, that you have kids. What were you thinking? Do not verbally pummel your spouse. Do not give the cold shoulder. You will have to forgive. Please listen to my podcast episode on forgiveness, number 32. The victim will feel vulnerable, but the guilty spouse will feel vulnerable too. He or she might feel ashamed that relatives and friends will know that your personal marriage problems are now in a public forum as people find out. The victim spouse might be tempted to know all of the details. I don't recommend that. You don't need to keep running pictures through your mind. There's going to be a lot of frustration and grieving for your relationship. You will need to build a new relationship from here on out. What's that going to look like? Was everything we did in the past a lie? Are we starting from scratch? Again, you might want to seek professional counseling or programs that specialize in what you are dealing with. This podcast talks about marital issues in general terms and is not meant to be a treatment for your individual situation. A big part of your immediate recovery is accountability. Yes, you've given up privacy and need to have each other's passwords and should be able to read each other's texts and communication from other people. Someone lied. Your marriage is in crisis, and therefore you now gave up the right to privacy. It may take months or a year to regain trust. It may take 2 years until you feel comfortable with your partner. You have to demonstrate that you can be trusted. You have to break off all ties with the affair partner. You might have to get a new job. You might have to move. What are you willing to do to prioritize your marriage, to fight for it, and to begin anew? Trust must be rebuilt, and sometimes you need to make radical decisions. As you are repairing, you need to make new discoveries about each other. You are almost transported back to a time when you were getting to know each other. You need to discover the mysteries about each other so that you can appreciate and be grateful for each other again. Go on new adventures and create dates that are different from what you've been accustomed to. Find out what each other likes and what each other's dreams are. Somewhere along the path of this affair or these affairs, you lost the interest in pleasing each other and discovering and sharing your passions and dreams. Get busy discovering. As you're coming alive and connecting or reconnecting, carve out the time that's needed to building a special friendship. Be open, be vulnerable, and be tender with each other. Try to avoid being judgmental. Like grieving for a deceased loved one, your moods might come and go in spurts. Periods of hate, sadness, grieving for your relationship. But rejoice, the affair was a wake-up call, a big wake-up call. Avoid leaning heavily on your friends and talking at length with others. Who you need to be talking with is your spouse. I firmly believe that, and I recommend that. And by the way, when you talk with your spouse, don't analyze and try to make sense of something nonsensical. Rather than rehash the past, focus on the present and your intentions for the future. When you build, you take the materials at hand and create something new. You are not remodeling or using yesterday's rotted wood and rusted nails. You are both going to take 100% responsibility for the relationship, your relationship. You know that forgiveness is a decision, but it is a process. As a couple, you might want to pray together and embrace spirituality. I highly recommend finding a mentor couple. This could take several months to find, but could be helpful. Remember, recovery from the shock of infidelity takes time. It didn't happen overnight, and it's not going to improve overnight. I'm not going to endorse any particular program. You can research and find what fits with you. Whatever you do, I hope you will take this affair seriously and as a sign that you can begin anew. You will have to be vulnerable with each other and accepting of imperfections. I hope you enjoyed this 6-part series on emotional fidelity. I've enjoyed it, and I hope that you found the information useful. If you can think of a friend who might benefit from this, please send them in the direction of Your Marriage Matters podcast. Until next time, make your marriage great.